But what could actually trigger a correction in 2025? Like, what are the warning signs?
That's the big question, and this report does a good job of laying out some potential triggers. First up, we've got to watch those trade and tariff policies.
Oh, those tariffs again.
Yep, they're creating so much uncertainty, and they could really throw a wrench in the economy both here and in Canada.
It's kind of like a game of Jenga, isn't it? Like one wrong move and the whole thing could just collapse.
Exactly. And the other thing that's a real nail biter is that whole inflation interest rate dance that the Fed is trying to do. If inflation doesn't come down, it really ties the Fed's hands when it comes to cutting rates.
Right, because if they cut rates too quickly and then inflation goes back up, that's not good either.
Right, exactly. And if you look back historically, sometimes when the Fed starts cutting rates, it can actually be a sign that a correction is coming.
Really? So cutting rates could make things worse.
Well, it just adds to the uncertainty. And then there's geopolitics.
Don't even get me started.
I know, right? Like the whole U.S.-China thing, the war in Ukraine, the Middle East, it's just a lot of instability out there, and that always rattles the markets.
Yeah, it's like a domino effect, isn't it? One thing happens over there, and then it ripples out everywhere. Okay, so trade wars, inflation, crazy geopolitics. Anything else we should be watching out for?
Well, the report also talks about how, sometimes economic news can just come out of nowhere and really shake things up.
Like what kind of news?
Like if GDP growth is weaker than expected, if inflation suddenly spikes up, or, if the jobs numbers are disappointing, stuff like that can really spook investors, especially if it goes against what everyone thought was going to happen.
It's like getting a bad grade on a test you thought you aced.
Exactly.